A Hollywood power couple selling their million-dollar mansion in the Bay Area. Actress Michelle Pfeiffer and producer writer David E. Kelley are putting their Woodside home on the market.
Remember Michelle Pfeiffer? In the 1980s and 1990s, she was Hollywood royalty. The kind of actress who could command eight-figure paychecks, steal scenes from anyone on screen, and redefine what it meant to be both beautiful and respected in an industry notorious for choosing one over the other.
Michelle Pfeiffer is a Hollywood icon. Since she jumped off the screen in Scarface 3.5 decades ago, Pfeiffer has had a long run of unforgettable roles.
Then, almost without warning, she stepped away. Headlines wondered if she had vanished. So, how's she doing now? Let's take a look at her net worth at 67. It will shock you. This is one Hollywood story you just can't skip. The meteoric rise. In 1978, a 20-year-old Michelle Marie Pfeiffer won the Miss Orange County beauty pageant. This victory gave her more than just a sash and a tiara. It landed her representation and the chance to audition for television roles in Los Angeles. She was quickly cast in commercials and then in minor television appearances, including guest roles on Fantasy Island, Delta House, and Chips. But the road to stardom was anything but smooth. Though she was working steadily, Pfeiffer was already encountering the difficulty of being taken seriously as an actress. Casting directors often saw her striking blonde looks as a barrier, pigeonholing her as the California pretty girl without depth. That stereotype would linger into her early film career. So much so, it nearly derailed her ambitions before they truly began. But she persevered. Her first credited film role was in The Hollywood Knights in 1980, a raunchy teen comedy in which she played Susie Q. The movie went largely unnoticed, but Pfeiffer pressed forward. In 1982, she landed the female lead in Grease 2, the much-hyped sequel to 1978's Grease. The movie was expected to capitalize on the cultural phenomenon of the original, but it was a commercial and critical flop, grossing only $15 million at the U.S. box office compared to the original's staggering $395 million worldwide. Pfeiffer, as the film's star, took much of the blame in reviews, with critics dismissing her as little more than a pretty face. The sting of Grease 2 nearly derailed her career, and she later admitted she worried the role might have marked her as unemployable in Hollywood. But just as the doors seemed to be closing, a producer named Martin Bregman championed her. Brian De Palma was preparing to direct 1983's Scarface, starring Al Pacino as Cuban harmful substance lord Tony Montana. Pfeiffer auditioned for the role of Elvira Hancock, Montana's glamorous but deeply troubled girlfriend. At first, De Palma was reluctant. He remembered Pfeiffer only as the girl from Grease 2. Yet, Bregman insisted she was right for the role. During her audition, Pfeiffer impressed Pacino with her fierce screen presence, even accidentally cutting his face during an improvised scene. That moment helped win her the part. When Scarface premiered in December 1983, critics were divided on its violent excess, but Pfeiffer emerged as the undeniable breakout. As Elvira, she embodied both icy detachment and aching fragility, giving depth to a character who might otherwise have been a one-note mobster's moll. Though the role required her to appear emaciated and strung out, and Pfeiffer lost considerable weight for the part, it also allowed her to prove she could go beyond beauty. The movie grossed $65.7 million worldwide on a $20.5 million budget, and Pfeiffer's teal gown in the nightclub scene became an iconic fashion moment. Most importantly, Hollywood finally began to take her seriously. From there, Pfeiffer's rise was steady and unstoppable. In 1985, she starred in Richard Donner's fantasy adventure Lady Hawk, alongside Rutger Hauer and Matthew Broderick. Though the film earned a modest $18.4 million domestically, it showcased Pfeiffer's ethereal screen presence. Critics began to note that she could bring believability even to fantastical roles. Then, in 1987, she took on The Witches of Eastwick, directed by George Miller, alongside Cher, Susan Sarandon, and Jack Nicholson. The supernatural comedy grossed $63.7 million domestically, making it a hit, and audiences delighted in Pfeiffer's ability to hold her own against such established stars. The true turning point in critical recognition came in 1988 with Dangerous Liaisons, directed by Stephen Frears. Cast as Madame de Tourvel, the virtuous aristocrat seduced and destroyed by John Malkovich's Vicomte de Valmont, Pfeiffer delivered a performance of heartbreaking restraint and devastation. The movie, based on the 18th-century French novel, earned 7 Academy Award nominations and won 3, including Best Adapted Screenplay. Pfeiffer herself was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, her first Oscar nod. Critics compared her vulnerability to that of classic screen actresses, and she had officially graduated from starlet to serious thespian. If Dangerous Liaisons cemented her as a respected actress, 1989's The Fabulous Baker Boys made her a legend. Starring opposite Jeff and Beau Bridges as a lounge singer hired to revive a failing piano act, Pfeiffer stunned audiences with her portrayal of Susie Diamond, a brassy but tender-hearted singer who transforms the brothers' lives. Her sultry rendition of Makin' Whoopee, performed draped across a grand piano, became one of the most indelible images in 1980s cinema. Roger Ebert praised the role as her flowering, and Rolling Stone called her the sexiest presence in movies today. The performance earned Pfeiffer her first Golden Globe Award and her second Oscar nomination, this time for Best Actress. By the early 1990s, Michelle Pfeiffer was not just a star, but a dominant force in Hollywood. In 1991, she reunited with Pacino in Gary Marshall's Frankie and Johnny, a romantic comedy drama that grossed $67 million worldwide on a $29 million budget. That same year, she earned approximately $3 million for the role. But it was in 1992 that Pfeiffer cemented her place in pop culture history with her role as Catwoman in Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Pfeiffer's Catwoman was unlike anything audiences had seen before. Both seductive and tragic, clad in a stitched-together leather suit, she exuded feline physicality while imbuing the character with wounded rage and sardonic humor. Critics lauded her performance as the highlight of the film, and her whip-cracking stunts became legendary. She was paid $3 million for the part, but the cultural impact far exceeded the paycheck. Decades later, her Catwoman is still considered the definitive screen version of the character. In financial terms, Pfeiffer's career skyrocketed in the mid-1990s. By then, she was commanding $9 to $12 million per film, making her one of the highest-paid actresses in the world. For 1994's Wolf, co-starring Jack Nicholson, she earned $6 million. For 1995's Dangerous Minds, she also received $6 million, with the film grossing an impressive $179 million worldwide, despite mixed reviews. In 1999, she earned $12 million for The Deep End of the Ocean, and in 2000, she took home $10.5 million for What Lies Beneath, a supernatural thriller directed by Robert Zemeckis and co-starring Harrison Ford. That paycheck placed her firmly among Hollywood's elite, rivaling contemporaries like Julia Roberts and Demi Moore. Pfeiffer's public image was carefully cultivated as a blend of glamour and seriousness, something rare for actresses in the male-dominated industry. Magazines hailed her as one of the world's most beautiful women, but critics consistently emphasized her craft. She was nominated for 3 Academy Awards between 1989 and 1993 for Dangerous Liaisons, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Love Field, and won a Golden Globe in 1990. For a stretch of nearly a decade, Pfeiffer was bankable at the box office, admired by critics and adored by audiences. The complete Hollywood package. She had achieved what very few manage in Hollywood. Pfeiffer had conquered the industry on her own terms. She had risen from the ashes of Grease 2 to redefine herself as one of the greatest actresses of her generation. To studios, she was a guarantee of quality. To audiences, she was a star who could deliver both spectacle and sincerity. So how much was she worth at the time? The fortune! At a time when Hollywood was beginning to acknowledge that actresses could carry films to box office glory, Pfeiffer positioned herself at the very center of that transition. Her fortune during these 2 decades grew through a combination of high-paying film roles, carefully chosen endorsements, and savvy investments in real estate. She was not only one of the finest actresses of her generation, but also one of its wealthiest. Unlike many of her peers, Pfeiffer avoided the pitfalls of reckless spending or mismanagement. The foundation of Pfeiffer's financial ascent was, of course, her acting. After early roles in films such as Grease 2, which was critically derided, she established herself as a serious actress with Brian De Palma's Scarface. While her salary for Scarface was modest, in the low 6 figures, it positioned her as a bankable star whose screen presence could balance actors like Al Pacino. By the late 1980s, Pfeiffer had developed a reputation. Her performance in The Witches of Eastwick, alongside Jack Nicholson, Susan Sarandon, and Cher, solidified her versatility, while her Oscar-nominated turn in Dangerous Liaisons raised her artistic credibility to new heights. These successes translated into rapid salary increases, a trajectory that would culminate in the 1990s with some of the highest paychecks earned by any actress of that period. At her peak, Pfeiffer commanded between $10 and $12 million per role. This was a staggering figure for an actress at the time. To put this into context, Julia Roberts, then considered the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, was commanding $15 million per role, while Demi Moore was receiving $12 million. Pfeiffer was therefore in the same league. She was breaking through an industry pay ceiling that had long favored male actors. Taken together, her salaries from the early to mid-1990s placed her earnings comfortably in the tens of millions, rivaling many of her male contemporaries and establishing her as one of the wealthiest women in the industry. In addition to her film salaries, Pfeiffer's fame made her an attractive figure for endorsements and magazine features. While she was not as prolific in advertising as some contemporaries, she lent her name and image to luxury brands sparingly but lucratively. Fashion houses such as Giorgio Armani regularly dressed her for red carpet events, and she appeared on the covers of Vogue, Vanity Fair, and Harper's Bazaar, each time reinforcing her image as both a glamorous star and a serious actress. Unlike actresses who overexposed themselves in advertising, Pfeiffer's selectivity enhanced her value. It created a scarcity effect. Her beauty and elegance were consistently associated with high-end brands, which added to her financial stability without risking over-commercialization. The third pillar of Pfeiffer's fortune was her investment in real estate. In 1988, at the height of her rising fame, Pfeiffer purchased a mansion in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles for $1.2 million. This ocean view property, located in one of California's most sought-after enclaves, has appreciated significantly in value over the years. By the time she sold it in the 2000s, the property fetched over $3 million, more than doubling her initial investment. She also owned a luxury home in San Francisco, specifically in the Presidio Heights area, which is among the most expensive residential neighborhoods in the city. Later, with her husband, television producer and writer David E. Kelley, whom she married in 1993, Pfeiffer invested in a sprawling estate in British Columbia. The couple acquired a 340-acre property. To understand how exceptional Pfeiffer's financial trajectory was, it is necessary to compare her earnings and investments with broader Hollywood trends. In the early 1990s, the gender pay gap in the film industry was stark. While male stars like Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Tom Hanks were commanding $15 to $20 million per role, only a handful of women, Julia Roberts, Demi Moore, and Pfeiffer, approached or crossed the $10 million threshold. Pfeiffer's ability to demand such fees was a direct reflection of her box office power and her critical credibility. Moreover, she was careful in her lifestyle choices. Unlike Nicolas Cage, who earned tens of millions in the 1990s but later faced financial ruin due to reckless spending, or Kim Basinger, who declared bankruptcy after buying the town of Brazelton, Georgia, Pfeiffer lived relatively quietly. She avoided ostentation and kept her finances secure. By the mid-1990s, Pfeiffer's estimated net worth was between $40 and $60 million. This figure placed her comfortably alongside the wealthiest actresses of her era. Forbes reported in 1995 that she was among Hollywood's most bankable stars, with a box office track record that justified her high salaries. Importantly, her wealth was diversified. While film salaries provided the largest portion, her real estate investments appreciated steadily, and her selective endorsements added prestige and financial strength. As the decade came to a close, Pfeiffer's reputation was not only that of an accomplished actress, but also that of a financially savvy one. She avoided the fate of stars like Monica Lewinsky, whose sudden influx of money in the late 1990s disappeared almost as quickly as it came. However, disaster struck. The fade from spotlight. As the 1990s came to a close, her dazzling visibility began to dim. Unlike other stars whose declines were marked by scandal or financial ruin, Pfeiffer's retreat from the spotlight was shaped by personal choice. The first key turning point came in 1993, when Pfeiffer married David E. Kelley, the television powerhouse best known for creating L.A. Law, Chicago Hope, and later Ally McBeal and Boston Legal. The marriage coincided with a shift in Pfeiffer's professional ambitions. Though still in demand for leading roles, she began turning down high-profile projects to focus on her family. That same year, she adopted her daughter, Claudia Rose, and in 1994, she gave birth to her son, John Henry, with Kelley. For a woman who had been consistently ranked among Hollywood's most bankable actresses, this pivot marked a deliberate step back from the relentless pace of film production. Still, Pfeiffer did not entirely vanish from screens. She starred in 1995's Dangerous Minds, a surprise hit that grossed $179 million worldwide against a modest budget. The film's soundtrack, driven by Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, dominated global charts and became a cultural touchstone of the decade. Yet, despite the commercial success, Pfeiffer grew increasingly selective. Industry insiders claimed that she had become too picky, passing on projects that later defined careers for other actresses. Among the most famous examples were Julia Roberts' role in 1990's Pretty Woman, which Pfeiffer turned down before Roberts took it and catapulted to superstardom, and Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon's Thelma and Louise, which Pfeiffer considered before ultimately declining. She also passed on Basic Instinct, a decision that gave Sharon Stone her breakout role. While Pfeiffer had reasons, such as script quality, family priorities, or discomfort with certain material, Hollywood saw otherwise. Her hesitancy was being seen as a liability. By the late 1990s, the momentum that had defined Pfeiffer's golden run began to fade. Films like 1996's Up Close and Personal, in which she starred opposite Robert Redford, underperformed critically, despite grossing $100 million worldwide. Similarly, 1999's The Deep End of the Ocean, a family drama in which she played a mother grappling with the loss and return of her son, failed to ignite at the box office. For an actress accustomed to critical acclaim and commercial triumph, these lukewarm receptions signaled a shift in her trajectory. The early 2000s deepened the perception that Pfeiffer was disappearing from the industry. Between 2002 and 2007, she did not appear in a single live-action film, choosing instead to focus on her children and private life with Kelly. This near-decade-long slowdown fueled tabloid speculation that Pfeiffer had vanished or even retired. In 2002, People magazine ran a piece titled, "Where is Michelle Pfeiffer?" Unlike stars such as Monica Lewinsky, whose notoriety spiraled into public humiliation and financial ruin during the same period, Pfeiffer's withdrawal was entirely voluntary. She was not running from scandal, nor was she destitute. Instead, she was investing in her home life, carefully stewarding her finances and waiting for the right moment to return. Pfeiffer had quietly diversified her fortune into real estate throughout the 1990s. She purchased properties in San Francisco, British Columbia, and the affluent Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles, where she lived with Kelly and their children. These properties appreciated dramatically in value during the 1990s housing boom. In addition, Pfeiffer was cautious with endorsements and avoided the overexposure that plagued many stars of her generation. Her net worth, estimated today at $250 million, reflects not only the high salaries she commanded during her peak, but also the prudence with which she managed her wealth during her years away from the camera. Industry perception, however, was less forgiving. Hollywood is notoriously unkind to actresses as they age, often sidelining women once they reach their 40s, regardless of talent or past success. Pfeiffer, born in 1958, was entering her mid-40s by the early 2000s, an age bracket when leading roles for women became scarcer. This reality, combined with her selectivity, contributed to her absence from marquee projects. While actresses like Meryl Streep redefined late-career stardom by embracing maternal or supporting roles, Pfeiffer's resistance to compromising her standards kept her largely off-screen. Still, Pfeiffer's retreat was not absolute. She returned to prominence in 2007 with a surprising doubleheader: Hairspray, in which she played the villainous Velma von Tussle, and Stardust, a fantasy adventure in which she portrayed a witch named Lamia. Both films were box office successes, grossing $203 million and $137 million worldwide, respectively. Critics hailed her return, noting that she had lost none of her charisma or screen presence despite the hiatus. Yet, even this revival did not lead to a sustained wave of roles. After 2007, she again slowed down, appearing in only a handful of films throughout the 2010s, including 2009's Cherry, 2012's Dark Shadows, and 2013's The Family. During this period, headlines often drew contrasts between Pfeiffer's quiet disappearance and the more dramatic declines of other public figures. Monica Lewinsky, for example, became a cultural punchline in the late 1990s, hounded by tabloids and mocked on late-night television. While Lewinsky earned millions from interviews and book deals, the money dissipated quickly, and she spent much of the next decade grappling with financial and personal struggles. Pfeiffer, by contrast, chose to retreat from the limelight on her own terms, and her financial stability ensured that her disappearance did not translate into desperation. By the 2010s, Pfeiffer's semi-retirement had become part of her mystique. Journalists speculated about her motivations, and fans longed for a full-fledged comeback. In a 2012 interview with Elle, Pfeiffer explained that motherhood had been the central factor in her decision to step away, stating, "Raising kids is just consuming." She acknowledged that she had missed opportunities but maintained no regrets. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Pfeiffer never endured public humiliation, scandal, or financial ruin. Her retreat from the industry did not diminish her legacy, nor did it erode her fortune. Instead, it allowed her to re-emerge on her own terms when the time was right. And in 2017, the time was right. The comeback. After more than a decade of stepping back from the screen, Michelle Pfeiffer re-emerged in 2017, reminding the world of her singular presence and dramatic range. That year marked a pivotal comeback. She took on 3 distinct, high-profile projects. In Mother, directed by Darren Aronofsky, Pfeiffer portrayed the enigmatic, questioning figure of the woman, a role steeped in allegory and surreal tension. Her role in the Other movie, directed by Kenneth Branagh, was equally telling of her return's strength. Released in November 2017, after premiering at London's Royal Albert Hall on November 2nd, the film boasted a star-studded ensemble cast, including Pfeiffer alongside Branagh, Penelope Cruz, Judi Dench, Josh Gad, Willem Dafoe, Johnny Depp, and Daisy Ridley. On a budget of approximately $55 million, the film grossed a robust $352.8 million worldwide. Pfeiffer's performance, subtle and elegant, reminded audiences of her versatility and flair for sophisticated screen presence. In 2019, she reprised her status as a dependable leading lady in the Disney blockbuster Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, the sequel to the 2014 hit. The film went on to earn $491.7 million globally, with $113.9 million from North American theaters and $377.8 million internationally. Her portrayal of Queen Ingrid, a role blending political savvy with regal malice, showed her adaptability within the fantasy genre and ensured her appeal to modern audiences, particularly younger viewers who may have missed her earlier work. These roles marked a clear return to form. Critics praised her performances, noting how Pfeiffer's craft remained undiminished. Her ability to pivot across genres, from psychological horror to period mystery to mainstream fantasy, demonstrated that her talent and star power were as compelling as ever. It was a career renaissance that blended artistic credibility with mass appeal. Parallel to her cinematic resurgence, Pfeiffer embarked on a unique entrepreneurial venture, launching the eco-conscious fine fragrance line Henry Rose in April 2019. Named after her children, Claudia Rose and John Henry, the brand is a landmark in transparency and sustainability, claiming to be the first fine fragrance to receive both EWG verified certification and cradle-to-cradle gold certification with a material health score of platinum. Frustrated after years of searching for safe, high-quality fragrances for her children, Pfeiffer pioneered this brand with a clear mission: to offer beautiful scents without compromising safety or obscuring ingredients. Henry Rose launched with 5 gender-neutral scents: Fog, Jake's House, Last Light, Torn, and Dark is Night, each created using a limited palette of ingredients, fewer than the typical 3,000, formulated in partnership with international flavors and fragrances perfumers Yves Cassar and Pascal Gauran. The brand is direct-to-consumer and features packaging made from 90% recycled glass and soy-based caps, housed in compostable paper alternatives. The fragrance line was self-funded by Pfeiffer, and each bottle retailed at $120 for 1.7 ounces, positioning it in the premium market alongside brands like Gucci and Balenciaga. The response was notable. InStyle reported Henry Rose had become a favorite of stars like Anne Hathaway and Meghan Fahey, who praised it for its clean, unisex, and hypoallergenic qualities. Usernames praised scents such as Windows Down and Sheep's Clothing for their balanced and appealing aromas. By May 2023, Henry Rose had expanded into bath, body, and home products such as cream, candles, and diffuser oils, and had secured external Series A investment from Sandbridge Capital, while retail distribution expanded to include Credo, Neiman Marcus, and Nordstrom. The brand's growth demonstrated Pfeiffer's acute business instinct in translating a personal mission into a commercially viable lifestyle venture. Meanwhile, her own profile continued to rise. Michelle Pfeiffer's net worth at 67. Few could have predicted how Pfeiffer managed not only to preserve her fortune, but to expand it dramatically during her years away from the spotlight. Today, in 2025, she is not simply remembered as a timeless actress, but also celebrated as a model of financial intelligence, entrepreneurial vision, and longevity in an industry that often discards its women too soon. At age 67, Michelle Pfeiffer boasts a net worth estimated at $250 million. This makes her one of the wealthiest actresses of her generation. This wealth didn't appear overnight, nor was it solely a product of big paydays during her peak years in the late 1980s and 1990s. Pfeiffer carefully built her fortune across three major pillars: her Hollywood career, her real estate investments, and her entrepreneurial ventures. As noted earlier, during her prime, Pfeiffer was earning between $10 and $12 million per film, salaries that rivaled or surpassed contemporaries like Julia Roberts and Meg Ryan. While other stars succumbed to extravagant spending or poor financial planning, Pfeiffer quietly began investing in property. Over the years, she and her husband, television writer-producer David E. Kelley, acquired a portfolio that included multi-million-dollar homes in San Francisco, British Columbia, Pacific Palisades, and Los Angeles. Real estate appreciation in California alone, particularly in the Pacific Palisades area, where homes frequently command $20 million and above, ensured that her fortune would grow even while she appeared absent from the big screen. Her marriage to David E. Kelley in 1993 marked another stabilizing chapter. Kelley, the mind behind acclaimed series like Ally McBeal, Boston Legal, Big Little Lies, and 9 Perfect Strangers, is himself a multimillionaire. Together, their combined success created not only a financial powerhouse, but also a supportive family environment. They have 2 children, Claudia, adopted in 1993, and John Henry, born in 1994, whom Pfeiffer largely dedicated herself to raising during her retreat from Hollywood. Unlike many stars who chase relevance at any cost, Pfeiffer made the conscious decision to prioritize family life over the treadmill of constant film roles. This decision, at the time criticized as career harm by some in the industry, has today proven to be one of the most defining aspects of her enduring success. While public visibility dimmed during those years, Pfeiffer was far from inactive. She kept herself financially secure through cautious money management and strategic choices. Then came the comeback, but Pfeiffer's resurgence wasn't confined to acting. In 2019, she launched her eco-friendly fragrance line, Henry Rose, which became the first fine fragrance brand to receive full transparency certification from both the Environmental Working Group and Cradle to Cradle. In 2025, Pfeiffer's relevance was once again affirmed when she fronted Yves Saint Laurent's summer campaign, a rare honor for an actress in her late 60s. Her collaboration with a brand known for its timeless luxury and style served as a reminder that she remains a fashion icon, proving that beauty and influence can transcend age. Despite her fortune, Pfeiffer leads a lifestyle that is relatively understated compared to many of her peers. She and Kelly reside in Los Angeles, but have also owned homes in more tranquil settings, such as Woodside, California, and British Columbia, favoring privacy and natural surroundings over constant red carpet exposure. She is occasionally seen at events such as film premieres, environmental campaigns, or award ceremonies, but has avoided overexposure. Her personal life has been largely shielded from scandal, a rarity in Hollywood, and this discretion has only enhanced her aura of timeless grace. Her estimated net worth of $250 million, combined with Kelly's wealth, places the couple in a financial tier that ensures comfort for generations to come. To put this in perspective, that figure rivals or surpasses many of her contemporaries. Julia Roberts is estimated at around $250 million, Nicole Kidman at $250 million, and Sandra Bullock at about $280 million. Pfeiffer, who at one point was nearly written off as a forgotten star, now stands shoulder to shoulder with the most successful actresses of her era. At 67, Michelle Pfeiffer is not only a survivor of Hollywood's harsh cycles, but a rare victor. Her journey shows that sometimes the most powerful career move is to step away, reassess, and return stronger. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.